All right, so the code I worked on is the project I worked on is called Cataclysm, Dark Days Ahead, and pretty much it's a project that is it's an online game that people can play, and also it's a huge open source project, has lots of contributors. So the changes I made were in the source file, and they were in specifically or source folder, and they were in specifically three different files: character.cpp, character.h, and new character.cpp. So the issue I worked on was the character height doesn't always respect metric imperial settings. So let's run the game. So slash cataclysm. So the problem was, so in settings and interface, you can go ahead and choose imperial or metric for your character. And it will respect that during the game. So if you chose imperial, it'll show like feet, inches. But the problem was that before these changes, it would show it in when you were making a new character, it would show the height in centimeters, even if you chose imperial. So it still showed in metric. And that was the issue. So someone found a solution to that issue, but there was some things I added to that solution, but we'll get to that. So they found a way to show when you're making a new character, so that's why it's in the new character file. They found a way to display it as what the settings say it was, so like either feet or inches. And so here's where you can change your new character's height. So, but the only problem was in their solution, when you move it to the right or left, it would add or subtract 1 centimeter instead of an inch. So therefore, I'd have to press to the right 2 to 3 times because an inch is 2.54 centimeters in order to move up 1 inch. So you'd be pressing buttons and it would take a long time to adjust your height. So I took part of their solution. So I took this way in my own solution. So this is my pull request. And so I made that change to the new character file where it printed out accordingly, feet or inches. But I wanted to make it so when you press the right or left, it would change like an inch instead of a centimeter so that you didn't have to press 2 or 3 times for it to see a change. So in order to do that, so usually this is what modifies it when you press the right or left. It would add or subtract a centimeter to the init height. And init height is in centimeters. So the height stays in the value variable that holds the height is in centimeters, and that gets converted to inches when being displayed. So first it checks if it's metric. If it is metric, then it adds or subtracts a centimeter when pressed to right or left. But if not, then it adds or subtracts 2.54 centimeters. And in order to be able to add or subtract 2.54, I had to go change it from int to float. So yeah, this was one problem, um, one potential vulnerability would be that if I kept this as an int, it wouldn't like exactly do what I wanted to do. It wouldn't add or subtract an int. It would like round this to 2. It would add like 2 instead of 2.54. So yeah, so GitHub file walkthrough, that was my source folder, and that's the project. Just the source folder, the 3 files I changed. And I liked that when I went to the issue and I saw what this guy did, I looked at how he changed u. So he went from u.base height to u.height string. So I'm saying u is probably the character. So I went ahead and found where the character file, and I liked how I could like follow that chain of logic to find the functions I needed to change. So I really liked using the comments and like following like how everything was where I thought it would be. Like the height was held in the character file, and the new character file is where you would the settings for making a new character. So what did not work? So usually this game can be played with like a pretty cool graphical interface. But for that you need this thing called Gento. And in order to download that, I needed something called Emerge. And it wasn't working, like Linux didn't have Emerge. So originally I was gonna do work on another issue, but I decided to work on an issue that didn't include the graphics, so I didn't have to download Gento because it wasn't working with my Linux, and I'd have to find like another way. But I decided to work on this issue instead. And then roadblocks, unexpected problems. So when I first was running Cataclysm, I was getting permission denied, and I was like, oh wait, why is this happening? And turns out every time after I run make, it makes a new executable, but that by default doesn't give you the permission to execute, so I have to go and change the permissions. And I definitely learned that following your chain of logic, following that's like a good idea, things work out pretty well when you go ahead and do what you think. Uh, I learned that I can contribute to open source, so that's pretty cool.